Greetings. Welcome to Gnosis Unveiled, Divine Code Keys, Insight Segment 11.7, where we will be taking a look at what is hidden behind 11.7 and the phrase, the two become one. This will become one of the most profound things you have ever seen. It edifies the phrase, the two become one, which is replete throughout the seventh seal material, as well as the reason why the Egyptian chose November 7th to be the date that Upper and Lower Egypt was joined, when Set and Horus united the land. The picture on the right depicts the tying of the unification knot around the symbol for the throat with their feet on the heart and the cartouche above, which would represent the mind. This is the unification of the mind and heart, male and female, negative and positive, as Set in the story represents the nemesis of Horus, when in fact Set was the high priest and the keeper of the hidden wisdom. He was not evil at all. In fact, we shall see that evil is a man-made idea to place fear in the people and control them. Setting some background to support all this, we're going to take a look at the fact that the ancient philosopher Aristotle wrote on Pythagoras, who lived 300 years before he did, on the hidden wisdom, which was not well understood, as we shall see, by Aristotle, concerning his remarks here and in a later slide, essentially putting down what Pythagoras learned in Egypt, where he spent 22 years going through the mystery schools, bringing back that wisdom and deploying it in his own school. This is what was written. Well, they, too, manifestly regard numbers as principle, both in the sense that it is the material of things and in the sense that constitutes their properties and states. The elements of number are, they think, the even and odd, the former being unlimited and the latter limited. Unity is composed of both factors, for they say, it is both even and odd. Number is derived from unity, and numbers constitute the whole heaven. We shall see examples here that edify and confirm that this is actually true. Here's our first glimpse as to how this could be possibly so. Notice the numbers 1 through 9 and an effort to demonstrate a value, a numerological value, from adding up the odd numbers. 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 numerologically is 7. And the even of the opposite numbers, 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8, is numerologically 11. Isn't it even more interesting to find that dark as a word numerologically adds up to 7 and light adds up to 11? Further confirmed by the fact that negative numerologically adds up to 11 and positive to 7. When we learn to use meta-numerology, which is taking the value of, say, t as 20 instead of 2, we get much larger numbers from phrases and words. For example, positive light equals 171, negative plus dark equals 11.7. Meta-numerology reveals the phrase 0 point to equal 11.7, or a mirror inside-out reversal of the same numbers. This is one of the key phrases from the book material and other work that is being done in quantum mechanics and the understanding of quantum energy. And this phrase is from the seventh seal material, which talks about the ancients and who they were, those that set up the Egyptian so-called pyramids lived much further in the past than realized. Looking further at the ancients and those who may have attempted to cover and conceal the truth, mislead us perhaps, we find indelible evidence that supports this entire theory of understanding around numbers as labels for frequencies being the construct and elements underlying all of creation itself. For it says, at the same time, and even earlier, the so-called Pythagoreans attached themselves to the mathematics and were the first to advance that science by their education, in which they were led to suppose that the principles of mathematics are the principles of all things. So as numbers are logically first among principles, and as they fancied they could perceive in numbers many analogies, analogs, essentially metaphors of what is and what comes into being much more readily than fire and earth and water, supposing such and such a property of number being justice and such another soul or mind, and so on with all the individual cases. And since they further observe that the properties and determining ratios of harmonies depend on numbers, since in fact everything else manifestly appeared to be modeled in its entire character on numbers, and numbers to be the ultimate things in the whole universe, they became convinced that the elements of numbers are the elements of everything, and that the whole heaven is harmony and number. What we're seeing here will completely highlight this as being absolutely correct. Echoing the words of Pythagoras written down by Aristotle, who unknowingly has preserved some very important information which reveals, in fact, yes, the core blueprint is a balance between male and female, mind and heart, positive and negative, electric and magnetic, as the components that hold everything together, comprise all in harmony. So would it be too much of a stretch that the word masculinity adds up to 11 and femininity adds up to 7? Ever the more so shall the truth be revealed. The basic numbers of 1 through 9 tell a story from beginning to end, how everything was created and will return to source. The last two numbers before that return to completion and wholeness is 7 and 8, which represent male and female on a fundamental level as essentially extreme opposites. For 7 is wisdom and spirit, and 8 is strength and matter. Externally would also be considered to be power, management, money. This is a very conditional construct versus the unconditional love of wisdom, spirit, and the internal consciousness of the mother. Each component, 7 and 8, must become unified and in balance and acting in reciprocity to unify and become whole. With this understanding, there is indeed power within numbers. For the fabric of the universe is numbers. The energy of creation can be mapped and tracked in numbers and patterns. This matrix is energy, light, frequency, and numbers. The underlying code, which is 711. We shall take a deeper look at how the divine intelligence is self-aware, and that in fact we are living in a divine matrix. The metamechanics of the universe and the 5 fundamental underlying frequencies of the 5 platonic solids are part of an ancient sacred metascience that an understanding of it in totality actually reveals and connects a divine consciousness with us, our thoughts, and our feelings as the tools for creating reality. When we understand the dynamics of the energy at play, we can command the language of light and form our reality accordingly. The ancients, those who built the pyramids, knew this hidden wisdom of the language of light. which is evidenced in the fact that the dimensions of the pyramid were chosen so as to embody numerous significant dimensions. One such factor is that of 7 and 11. This is made most clear by the side, which is 11/7 of the height of the pyramid. The ancient civilizations and medieval surveyors used rods of 7 and 11 units in order to solve in a simple way problems of geometrical construction. Rods of 11 and 7 units can be used also to compute the relation between diameter and circumference as 722, which makes an approximation of pi. 7 divided by 22 is 3.142857. This sequence, the latter part in red, will become more meaningful as we proceed deeper down the rabbit hole. The divine keys have been embedded in our language. When the English language was being created in the Middle English, people like Sir Francis Bacon and Shakespeare writing group tailored the language to contain the mystery schools from old. The knowledge was hidden so it wouldn't be lost, as well as encoded in our words so that what we speak translates into a creation of our thoughts in action. It is also interesting to notice that each of the words that describe the seasons has 6 characters in it, which means it's 12 in total for the 2 solstices and 12 for the 2 equinoxes, for a total of 24, as in the 24 hours of the day, or 12 hours of darkness and 12 hours of light, further demonstrating the rhythm and the balance inherent in all creation. The duality reality polarized matrix. We live in a polarity existence that is actually ever in balance. A proton particle carries a positive electric charge, while a neutron particle possesses a magnetic quality. All of creation, from the macrocosm to the microcosmic, reveals the interaction of positive and negative energy. This fundamental principle is reinforced in literally everything. It can be shown that there is order in apparent chaos, indeed, a divine blueprint where everything is held in balance as one great whole expression and equation of the mind and the heart, the male and the female, the positive and the negative, in an interplay of equipoise. Frequency and geometry are the constructs of all manifested creation, which is all held together by the ultimate key, as spirit harmonizing everything. Isn't that amazing? The glue that holds everything together. Taking a deeper look at 7-Eleven as the underlying mechanics of the universe, here we have Marco Rodin's mosaic tile pattern, which he discovered by offsetting the simple sequence of 1 through 9 in a staggered effect, revealed sequences that run in every direction that repeat over and over again. Upon closer inspection, you can see that the descending arrow on the far right, while practicing simple arithmetics in a vertical fashion from top to bottom, reveals 7. 2 plus 5, 6 plus 1, 1 plus 6, 5 plus 2. And on the left, the ascending vertical number sequence reveals 11. 4 plus 7, 9 plus 2, 5 plus 6, and an image of 1 and 1. These sequences alternate from each column left to right. 11, 7 alternating as alternating currencies, alternating frequencies, alternating polarities. And when we take the mosaic tile pattern and wrap it around a donut, this is called the tube torus, revealing deeper understandings pertaining to the movement of energy and the quantum dynamics of frequency, which Marco has played with to discover over unity formulas. The small excerpt of 9 squares revealed that the left column adds up to 7 and the right column adds up to 11, and the middle is the value of the 2 becoming 1. Each of the sequences on the wheel represent a archetypal energy that describes a model practiced by many ancient civilizations, the balance between the male and the female, with those on the right being the mind, the master architects, the keepers of the hidden wisdom, and those on the left being the bearers of the wisdom of heart, the wisdom of love for the people, the outward expression. The fifth sequence being one that binds them all together in harmony and reciprocity. Zooming in on the male on the right, the high priest, we can see a sequence that's applied to the enneagram, which is also at the core of the seventh seal signet, which represents the sign for the mystery school, carrying the same interplay of the numbers 7, 11. On the left, as you add up and around, 1 plus 6 is 7, 5 plus 2 is 7, 9 plus 7 is 16 or 7, 4 plus 3 is 7. From the right, working counterclockwise, 8 plus 3 is 11, 4 plus 7 is 11, 9 plus 2 is 11, 5 plus 6 is 11. So inherent on a fundamental energetic core level, we find the interplay of these two opposite energies. I was most astonished when I was playing with my multiple wave oscillator and happened to look at the clock and notice the two locations where the most electrical contact and sparks were occurring was at the position of 7 and 11, according to the overlay of a clock. Now that's really something. The energy knows exactly what it's doing, as did the masters of old who hid this wisdom, passing it down in actually an obvious way. For 7 is 11. With this understanding of the language of light, we get to be the co-creators. This material has demonstrated that, in fact, when opposites unify, something great happens. Creation of the most beautiful sort. With joy, bliss, and love, we embrace the knowledge and the wisdom to be free now. Command the language of light and co-create a golden age where divine consciousness is ascending our lower self into our higher self, joining us with our oversoul, where we are all indeed one. Thank you, and please come again to Gnosis Unveiled, Divine Key Codes Revealed.